Welcome back to the Mandatory. I'm Shantelle Chan. This is the betting episode. We're gonna get into all of the fights this weekend that we're gonna make bets on. And you know what? We were kind of let down last weekend by Ray Vargas.
Yeah, Ray Vargas didn't bring it. He should have. He was the favorite, slight favorite, but was the favorite. Thought he was gonna score some points and at least take it to Oshaki Foster, potentially outbox him. None of that shit happened. Oshaki Foster beat his ass, and now all of a sudden people, acting like that shit was like destined to happen. That was almost 50-50 fight. So congrats to Oshaki Foster, new champion. Um,
Yes.
I honestly didn't even watch the fight until like Monday because UFC, Alexander Volkanovski, Islam Makhachev, that card was insane. And I was also like watching, I don't remember which NBA game was on at the time, or whatever that was. But I saw Ray Vargas after the fact, and it was a disappointing
I
performance.
think it was the Warriors and the Lakers, was it not?
Probably that sounds about right.
Saturday night, but I ended up seeing both because the Foster Vargas fight went on right before the main event for UFC. So, but nonetheless, shout out to Oshaki Foster. Had a great win. Ray Vargas let us down. And if you hit us up in the DMs or in the comments and you were like, oh, you guys are wrong, Foster won and Vargas didn't, well, like, show me your bet slip that you bet that. I
Yeah.
want to see if you bet that before you start running your mouth. But
I'm
that's what's
look. I'm also look. I my whole thing with betting shit, just so people know, I'm not trying to bat 1,000 because that shit is impossible. I'm trying to give you just good, solid, researched betting analysis, which I can
yes.
fucking do. All right. In terms of being right, you ain't gonna be right, but like if you're right half of the time, you're doing an amazing job. You know what I mean? If with exact bets, not if you're picking fucking minus $8,000 money lines, which boxing does gives you at some point. But we do have a good fight to talk about this week, and then we have a bunch of fights that are going on this weekend
Yeah.
for the nerds, for the hardcore nerds, if you really want to bet on some shit. So we're gonna get into that right now.
Like money, motherfucker? Money be green. Money feel like money. That shit look green to you?
That brings us to Leigh Wood and Mauricio Lara. Lara, a minus 300 favorite. Leigh Wood, a plus 215. This fight going to be in his backyard. Bryan, who do you have winning and how?
The how is where I'm gonna toss it to you because I actually have a question about that. Mauricio Lara, since this fight got announced, I felt pretty confident. Does he kind of remind you of Isaac Cruz?
A little bit. I mean, when you take a look at how real his punching power is, I mean, if we're going to break it down, this is the second attempt to make this fight. The first one, the first time it was going to happen, Leigh Wood, I think he had an injury in his bicep or something, so they had to call off that fight. But stylistically, this is a really good fight. Leigh Wood, 26-2, and the last fight that he fought was against Michael Conlan. And some could argue that was like the fight of the year last year, got dropped in the first round, and then he ended up knocking out Conlan out of the ring. It was crazy. Ended up winning. That's the thing about Leigh Wood, though, is that he gets better as the fight goes along. And he's one of those guys that will bang with you on the inside. I don't think you want to bang on the inside with a guy like Mauricio Lara, though. He does have power. I think his best attribute is the fact that he's really good at fighting off of his back foot. And he knows, well, he can control distance pretty well because he knows how to fight off his back foot so well. The only thing where I'm like, man, I wish he kind of goes to the body for Lara a little bit more because going back, like Lara's been hurt to the body before. I think it was Elliot Chavez who gave him his first L. That was a body shot, if I'm not mistaken. And I also believe he was hurt by Emilio Sanchez in a fight to the body as well. But that was a fight where he ended up winning against Emilio Sanchez. So I think I do think that Leigh Wood, he's a bit of a headhunter. So I think in this fight, if he wants to win, he's got to go to the body a little bit more. But he knows how to let his hands go. He has a flurry of uppercuts that he likes to throw, throws nasty combos. Mauricio Lara, one of my favorite fighters, 25, 2-1. I think he's the most underrated fighter in this division, if I'm going to be real with you. Heavy hands, relentless. He is the definition of Mexican style boxing. He's going to come forward. He's going to be the aggressor. And just as much as he throws heavy punches, he takes them right back.
Yeah.
Mauricio Lara has a chin. And I think his best punch, his nastiest punch, is his left hook. That one will put you in for a quick nap as well. We've talked about boxers putting in dudes for naps. That left hook, that'll do it. He's going to want this one to be an all-out war because he's like a brawler type of boxer. And he starts off really quick. A lot of his recent KOs have been like within the first like 1 to 4 rounds because he's such a quick fighter. He starts off fights really fast. So I think in this fight against Leigh Wood, he's going to start off really, really fast. I think Wood is going to try to go to the body. I think he's going to be a little bit smart, not try to trade with him because this one is going to be a banger. I think this one is going to be a banger for sure. So just to cut it short, Brian, just to cut you off, I think Lara is going to start off really quickly, and I think he's going to drop Wood like in the first couple of rounds. But I think Wood is tough as nails. I think Wood is tough as nails, and he gets better as the fight goes along. But I still have Lara winning by knockout, and it's a minus 120 on FanDuel.
So I'm surprised by that. Not that you're gonna pick him to win by knockout because I think I'm leaning that way as well. I'm just surprised that I'm not getting value on it on the sports books. Like I have minus odds that this is going to happen. Leigh Wood is not like his chin doesn't suck. You know what I mean? He has been knocked out before. He did get dropped, but he got back up against Mick Conlon and finished him. Michael Conlon, who kind of thought was an overrated prospect anyway. But like, if we're being honest about it, right? Like I think with Leigh Wood, he's a little bit more of an underdog than I would have expected going into this fight, especially considering if this fight is going to be in his backyard. But Mauricio Lara is 14-0-1 in his last 15 fights since that knockout in May of 2018. And of that 14-0-1, he's got 12 wins by knockout, which tells you that like he's really like he does remind me of Isaac Cruz because he's a brawler, classic Mexican style fighter, pressure fighter, who also throws these looping hook shots that can really daze you and really change the course of a fight in one fell swoop. I wonder if, and this is going to kind of be key for me, sort of like Amanda Serrano had to figure out against Erica Cruz, where Erica Cruz was catching her with these looping hooks over and over. Erica Cruz didn't have the power to put somebody down necessarily. She was 15-1 at the time with 3 knockouts, but she was finding a home for these looping hooks for about half the fight. Then Amanda Serrano kind of figured out, okay, 1-2s down the middle, keep it simple, straight, throw punches in between those looping shots, then get out of the way. Couldn't get out of the way of all of them, but threw enough to slow her down and obviously take over the fight. I think Leigh Wood is going to have to do something like that, where he's throwing punches, 1-2s straight in between looping shots, these looping uppercuts that come from weird distances and weird angles. Like he's going to be pressured the entire time. It's going to be a brawl. If Mauricio Lara is going to make it that way, and his fights tend to go in that direction. So I do think he's going to win. He's probably going to win by knockout. I'm not going to do my group round betting thing. I like to do that typically when it comes to like betting or whatever the case may be. Like I had, for example, Tyson Fury beating Derek Chisora, despite him being a minus 3,000 favorite. I had him knocking him out between rounds 7 and 12. And that was like 200 odds. You know what I mean? Like something like that. I'd probably look at between rounds 7 and 12, though. I think he'll get off to a fast start. I don't think he's going to finish him right away. But ultimately, if I'm looking at Mauricio Lara to win by knockout, then I'm going to take a gander at group round betting. But I also think there's a scenario where Leigh Wood like can actually withstand the pressure. And, you know, I consider him a live dog in this. Like, I don't think he's going to get his ass whooped. I'm actually a little surprised that the bets aren't a little bit closer to 50-50 considering when they came off of. And then on top of that, you have Mauricio Lara minus 3,000 on FanDuel, which is interesting. So if you go to group round betting, right?
Yeah.
What I like to do. Money line, minus 300 odds, though, you could throw that in a parlay, in a little 3-legger, 4-legger. You could still probably get plus odds depending on what else you do. If you're looking.
Yeah.
Mauricio Lara to win rounds 1 through 6 plus 115, and then 7 to 12 plus 330. So that tells you that the books think that he's going to finish this early. To your point, I'm a little surprised at that. I'm going to take him by knockout because the minus 120. I refuse to pick the round for this one. I'm not as convinced as I am with, for example, Subriel Matias and Jeremiah Ponce, which we'll get to next week. But
yeah.
That's where I'm at with it. Are you surprised to see that plus 115 rounds 1 through 6?
Well, not really, because Lara lately has finished guys off in like rounds 1 through 4. He starts so quickly. The only thing is that I think they're taking Leigh Wood not as seriously when he's a solid fighter.
Yeah.
And it's in his backyard. So I think he's kind of being disrespected on the lines a little bit. And he gets better as the fight goes along. So I think Lara has a better chance of knocking him out early. And if he doesn't, then he usually takes off like rounds 5, 6, and 7. So I think as the fight goes on, Leigh Wood has a better chance to win, if I'm going to be real with you. But I'm just going to take Lara to win by knockout, the -120, and probably build myself a little bit of a parlay. I'm a little bit more comfortable in doing that because I think Leigh Wood gets hit a lot, and I think he's going to take Lara's punch, but there's a chance he gets dropped. I don't know if Lara knocks him out in rounds 1 through 4 because I do think that Leigh Wood is tough as nails. So I'm going to put that out there. But so we're both going with Lara to win by knockout, -120 on FanDuel. And of course, we want to know. Okay, so they have the same odds. So let us know who you're going to roll with and show us your bets before. Not after the fight, before. Because if you want to talk smack about Leigh Wood winning, then that's going to be one of the reasons. But of course, Brian, there's a bunch of other fights. If there's one other fight that you're going to be betting on this weekend, which one is it going to be?
Now we're really going to get geeky. Lou DiBella, who we had on the show, has a showbox card. He promised 50-50 fights, and I want to say that the odds reflect that because the main 3 fights on the card, nobody is a bigger than minus like 190 favorite at the moment at the time of this recording. So those are real 50-50 fights. In terms of other fights that I'm looking at this weekend, I mean, you're going to talk about Luis Neri's fight against Azat Hovhannisyan. I hope I'm saying that right. And I think we should just go there because in looking at the card and looking at everything else, those showbox odds are tempting. I don't know what I'm going to do with any of them. You're leaning to Luis Neri getting upset here. And I think this is going to be our first disagreement on the show.
About time.
Yeah. So Luis Neri, for people who don't know, and this is going to be very quick because if you're a casual here, you're probably like, what the fuck is going? We got you. Hold on. This will be quick.
Full breakdown though, but okay.
Yeah. I think it's great also. So it's fine. This fight is going to be a super bantamweight bout in Pomona, California, and it's going to be on the Zone, and it's going to be on Saturday night. Luis Neri, 33-1. Azat Hovhannisyan, 21-3 with 17 knockouts from Armenia. Yeah. Shout out. And Luis Neri, 33-1, 25 knockouts. And my guess is because your boy Stephen Fulton beat Brandon Figueroa, and Brandon Figueroa knocked this dude out, Luis Neri. You think Luis Neri is going to lose this fight?
That's not the only reason why. When you look at Hovhannisyan, this is also the title eliminator. So whoever wins this is in line to fight Cool Boy Steph, Stephen Fulton. But that one loss that Neri does have against Brandon Figueroa, that one was a body shot. And Neri, I mean, touted prospect coming in, right, was knocking dudes left, right, and center. That fight against Brandon Figueroa was at 122, but he was knocking dudes out at 118, and I think that's where he was at his best. So this is going to be a fight at 122. Neri's a power puncher. He's a southpaw. This is going to be a southpaw versus orthodox. He has speed. He likes to brawl, and he throws hard punches. But Hovhannisyan, he has power too, man. 17 of those 21 wins by knockout, throws every punch with power, nasty right hand, and I think his left hook is just as nasty as his right hand. I wouldn't sleep on him. He's also being trained by Freddie Roach. He's underrated. He has a good chin, and he actually has underrated speed as well, vicious power. He's also a harder puncher than Brandon Figueroa, in my opinion. We talked about sweeping hooks. This guy has a flurry of them. He has fast hands. He lost to Ray Vargas, but he gave Ray Vargas work. Like, he gave Ray Vargas work. He gave him some problems. He also knocked out Ronnie Rios. So I'm just going with Hovhannisyan because he's got the experience in this weight class over Neri. And what I've seen from Neri in his last 2 fights, like, I wasn't overly impressed. So, and the thing about it is Hovhannisyan also has never been stopped before. So if this one goes the full distance, I'm probably going to lean over to Hovhannisyan. Like, this one's going to be a banger. Yeah. And this one's going to be entertaining. I'm actually looking forward to this fight a lot. What about you? But yeah, I think Hovhannisyan ends up winning. I'm going to take him straight up on the money line. And straight up on the money line, if I'm taking a look at the odds on FanDuel, plus 136. And I'm going to pair that of course, with the knockout with Mauricio Lara -120.
Plus 140 on DraftKings. I would just go Luis Neri money line minus 180 on DraftKings. I'll probably see if I can find a minus 160 if I remember to bet on this fight, actually, because there's a lot of other shit worth betting on this weekend because you got NBA All-Star Weekend and shit. I also want to point out, going back to what was the other fight we were just talking about? Mauricio Lara and Leigh Wood. I don't know why I was just blanking on me because boxing specials is something I look at a lot, right? Leigh Wood to be knocked down in rounds 1, 5, 9, or 12 plus 550 is one of those things that I'm like, hey, I have a 33% chance of getting this right if I could just guess the right round. Like I'm looking at also specials for things like that. You're not going to get as much of this with Luis Neri. I'm actually frankly surprised they have a lot of these with Leigh Wood and Mauricio Lara. So that's pretty good. You mentioned that you think Mauricio Lara could get knocked down. Mauricio Lara to be
I think Leigh Wood could get knocked down by Mauricio Lara in the first 4 rounds. Mauricio Lara is not going to get knocked down in this fight.
Okay, but if you did think so, Mauricio Lara to be knocked down and then win by knockout is plus 850. I don't know. I mean, that sounds something that's actually that sounds. Are
you going to sprinkle on that?
No. If you want to do. And if you want to do another group round special, because you were talking about this being an early night, I mean, if you want to put your money where your mouth is, Shantelle, Mauricio Lara to win in rounds 1 through 4 is plus 240. I mean,
I think I might sprinkle on that, but like I said, I think Leigh Wood's tough as nails that it happens through rounds 9 through 12, even though Wood gets better as the fight goes on.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to go against a guy like Lara. He's one of my favorite fighters, and I think he's one of the most underrated guys in the division. So
look at that. We gave you almost 20 minutes on this. We'll see what happens next week when we have Jake Paul, Adrian Broner, Tevin Farmer, and Subriel Matthias, who's going to be the IBF super lightweight champion of the world next weekend. I'm calling it now.
Hey, I'm with that. We're going to get into that next week, but remember to drop your slips in the comments because I don't want to hear any more. I don't want to hear any more talk about that. You know, we might have been wrong, and especially if Leigh would.
Look, and if I'm wrong, I don't care. I care because like I care is money, right? I'm not spending a lot of money doing these bets.
Money be green, Bryan.
Money be green. That's right. But look, if I'm wrong, then whatever. The analysis was good. So fuck y'all.
Yeah, but
listen to the show and leave us 5 stars. And I say fuck y'all with love because I'm a New Yorker and this is how we communicate. You know?
He called me a dickhead earlier. It's just all love. It's all love. Just remember that. By the way, follow us at TheMandatory TKO, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We'll be posting on there. Leave some comments if you have any thoughts on any of the fights that we talked about, and let us know how you're betting as well. And once again, thanks so much for rocking with us. We'll be back soon.